On this episode, we review opening night of Disney World's new after-hours offering, Jollywood Nights at Hollywood Studios. Today is November 14th, 2023, and this is episode 617 of the Main Street Magic Podcast.
Jeremy and Rhonda are more than a little fond of Disney World, so they made this podcast to share it all with you. Reports and resorts, top 10 lists of all sorts, Main Street Magic's bringing it home for you.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Main Street Magic. I'm your host, Jeremy Stein, and as always, I'm joined by my festive wife, Rhonda.
Hey, guys.
Make sure you check us on the web at mainstmagic.com, as well as follow on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at mainstmagic. If you've not done so already, head out to Facebook and search for the Main Street Magic community and ask to join. And if you go ahead and hit that subscribe button, you get brand new episodes every Tuesday and Friday. We keep mentioning how many great deals and rates there are through the end of 2023 down at Disney World, also early 2024. So if you are looking to book, make sure you contact Main Street Magic Travel and get a free quote at mainstmagictravel.com. And then finally, if you're planning that trip to Disneyland or Walt Disney World, you did not get those advanced dining reservations that you were truly hoping for, don't worry, because Mouse Dining removes the frustration of booking Disney dining reservations, alerting you when they spot availability for your desired restaurant, date, meal, and time. And yes, this really does work. Visit msmfriends.com to use this free service.
So today we are talking about the all brand new Jollywood Nights. That is at Hollywood Studios. And this is a ticketed event. This is basically like an after hours party.
Yeah, that's how they're touting it as opposed to a party.
Right.
Like the word party isn't even used technically.
Okay.
It's being touted as an after hours.
Okay.
Whereas, over at Magic Kingdom, you have Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. And you have
Mickey's Very Merry Christmas
Party.
This is Jollywood Nights.
Yeah, after hours event. And it really stays true to that wording because of the fact that it only runs from 8:30 p.m. to 12:30 a.m. So it is only 4 hours long.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very short time.
It is.
And we'll talk a little bit about that. There's only a total of, I believe, 10 nights, 10, 11, 12 nights, something like that. And tickets are running between $159 all the way up to $179. Now, the night that we went was opening night, was, I believe, the most expensive night at $179.
Okay.
Most of the other nights are at $159 that are during the week. And then you have into December as you get for the last 4 dates, December 4th, 6th, 18th, 20th. And then the 16th is sold out. It is $169 a person. So, for example, us all in was $381.28
for two of us.
our two tickets.
Yes.
So it is expensive.
Yeah, and there's not many Saturday nights.
No, there's not. A lot of this is really looking at during the week.
Monday
there's
and
only
Wednesdays?
Yeah, there's 3 total Saturday nights. The one that we went, and then next Saturday, and both of those are sold. Or this coming Saturday, I should say now, and both of those are sold out.
Mm-hmm.
So you're looking at Mondays and Wednesday nights. Basically, there's 4 more weeks of that going into December with the last party, the last after hours on the 20th. But this being the first year, and this is what we'll probably spend a lot of time talking about, is there's going to be kinks.
Oh,
there's
absolutely.
going to be things to work out.
100%.
Much expected.
Yep.
But we'll kind of go through because I will say 4 hours will never be enough.
But yes, you are correct.
To
but
do
I also
everything.
don't feel like the hours at the Mickey's Very Merry Christmas and the Halloween is also not enough.
Correct.
So with that being said, I'm just going to go ahead and say I hope they do this. I hope this is a hit.
Yeah.
I hope they do this year after year.
I do too.
I would really like to go back again next year. And this would be, I think I would probably do this like the Halloween, where I want to go every year.
Oh, 100%.
Because
I think we'll both agree with that from the beginning.
Yeah, because I mean, you want to do the things like, well, we didn't get to do this. Well, there's next year.
Yeah.
So kind of
And like with anything, especially when it comes to these parties or after our events, is the main thing is prioritizing what you want to do.
Correct.
because of the fact that there is no way you're going to do it all.
Correct.
There's definitely no way you're going to do it all on an opening night when we're working out kinks.
Yeah.
This was also a media night.
Yes, it was.
So, and just going back, I mean, I've seen a lot on social media, and I'm trying not to let that influence me whatsoever. I mean, obviously we were there with the same people,
Correct.
but one thing that somebody said, which made a lot of sense, is it didn't feel as though Disney accounted for all of the media that they invited and brought in with the regular number of tickets they were selling. So, for
That makes
example,
sense.
my guess is this coming Saturday, the 18th, is a sold-out party. There will be less people there than I think there was the opening night, because there's not going to be the media and the influencers and all of those types of folks.
Yep.
So I do think that was a bit of an issue. But let's just talk, like, this is one where, it was another evening where I didn't sit on my phone the whole night taking notes. I mean, I took some, but really we just want to kind of talk about our night and how everything went. So you can get in if you don't have a day ticket or you don't have an annual pass the way that we do, you can get in at 6:30. They're going to close the park officially at 8, and the party's going to start at 8:30. So we got there.
I think we got there around between 6 and
before
6:30.
7. Yeah, somewhere around 6:30ish.
Yeah.
Because we were basically going, and here, for example, here is the first issue that I hope that Disney will potentially find a way to fix prior to the rest of this year. Now, how many tickets they're selling? They're not changing that. If somebody in PR or Disney or whatever last night stood back and went, "Oh no, we sold way too many tickets," they're not going to scale back this year.
Right.
So that part's over. They might in the future.
Right.
Like we said when we did the Halloween party last month, it was a sold-out Halloween party. It did not feel like any sellout we've ever been to based on the amount of people. There was not nearly as many people.
It was amazing.
It was outstanding.
And I hate to say it, but that's probably taken some years for that to get to it.
Of course it does. 100%.
So
and Disney's going to have to weigh guest satisfaction and ticket sales on whether they then scale back the capacity or not. If people continue to buy tickets, they're not going to scale it back.
Yeah.
Now, if people complain and stop buying tickets, then they're going to go, all right, now we got to make a change.
Yep.
So we'll see how that goes. But so the thing that was interesting, so you go and you scan into the front turnstile as normal. Unlike the parties over at Magic Kingdom, you're not being given your credentials or your and we'll probably say party a lot, even though we mean after hours.
Right.
You're not given your party, and this was really cool because they actually gave out lanyards, like
that was
keepsake
super cool.
lanyards,
Yeah.
along with your standard kind of wristband that they do. They were not doing that when you checked in at the front gate, which was interesting.
But it was super weird because when we did check in at the front gate, there was this whole line and huge area that it looked like we were supposed to go. And I even asked a cast member, she was like, "I'd stay where you are." And I was like, okay. So we got in real quick.
Yeah, they had event specific lines.
Yeah. And then once we got through the turnstile, then we had to go all the way over to another line.
Yeah.
Which I think
over at the Mickey Shorts Theater.
I think the same people that were getting in that giant line still had to go where we were.
Correct. Yeah,
so
that's where they were giving out your lanyard, and they were checking your band to make sure that you had purchased tickets.
Yep.
And that they were giving out your wristband. And this is one of those two where all the kinks will be worked out. You didn't know that walking in. You didn't know what the deal was. It was kind of like you had to kind of ask around, figure out what's up. And that's what they said. Yeah, go over to the Mickey Shorts Theater. And we waited in this line. It stretched all the way down to almost baseline Tap House.
It was before y'all got.
Yeah.
It was moving quick.
It was moving very quick, and they were killing it inside.
Yep.
And the cast members were doing a wonderful job. Yep. There was a manager that was walking the line the whole time, just letting people know. There was a guy behind us who was an extremely rude, I won't use words because this is a family podcast, but Rhonda went and got in line. The three of us, because Lucy and Caleb were with us, we went to go to the bathroom. And then when we came up, he was like, excuse me, you have to, the end of the line's back there. And we're like, oh, she was waiting for us. We had to go to the bathroom. And he's like, well, you're still cutting line. And then he used some choice words behind us. Then minutes later, the cast member, the manager, comes by and she's saying to every single person, I apologize for the long line. It's the first night. We're working out some kinks, but it's going to be worth it. We're so excited to have you here. And we're just like, yes, thank you, being as nice as we can. And then this guy lays into her for 3 to 4 minutes straight about how this is ridiculous. It's awful. It's like, okay, dude.
And we did not have our Be Nice to Cast members on.
I wish we did have that.
I did too, but we were dressed as the glitz and glamour.
Yeah. And that was super fun. The way that we do things, that we like to do things, whether it's the Halloween party or the Christmas party or going to see Neil Patrick Harris, like, go all in. And there were a lot of people, and it was everything. It was everything from regular park gear to regular Christmas gear.
Yep.
To folks like us, where I was in a full suit with a fedora and vest and bow tie, and Rhonda had this beautiful flapper dress and the like 1920s looking headband with the jewels on it, and your long gloves that went up past your elbows, and so that part right there was just super fun. And
we were with Lucy and Caleb, and they were definitely just dressed in Christmas. Park gear, which was great, and they and it was comfortable,
and it was even everything from that to people in matching head to toe like Christmas pajamas, so it was a little bit of everything, which I love. It's the same way that like you can go to the Halloween party and not dress in costume and not feel left out.
Correct.
The same way you could go to this. I in fact, more people were in more standard park gear than they were, dressed to the nines, I would say. But there was a little bit of everything.
Yeah, there was a lot too. It's just really neat to see everybody.
And I am obviously biased, but Rhonda was the best dressed person in that entire park. Like I will say that.
Thanks,
and it's
babe.
I think it's factual information. The amount of comments and all that you got, like, it looked like they plucked you off of a stage for one of the shows and just put you in the crowd. Like you looked outstanding. Everything from just your look in general to your makeup to your hair to what you were wearing. Like you just looked absolutely stunning. I've known you for 21 years, and that's probably top 5 most just stunning, beautiful I've ever seen you.
Oh wow!
So I do want to say that and point that out. And when you go and you look at our pictures, does zero justice. Like what you see of me in the picture, that's just what I looked like. The pictures do not do you justice about how amazing you looked. So,
thank you.
Did want to put that out there, but yeah. So this is, this has a lot of focus on entertainment. There's a lot of focus on character meet and greets, some special character meet and greets. It's got a lot of focus on some of the shows and all that they're doing. And we had set the priority that we really want to see the What's This, the Tim Burton Nightmare Before Christmas sing-along. That was a priority for us.
Yes, it was.
A priority for us was to see the holiday Merry mashup that they are doing over in the Beauty and the Beast Theater, which they're calling Disney Holidays in Hollywood. That was a major thing. And then another thing that on our checklist was to see Jingle Bell, Jingle Bam, which is only one showing at 12:30 as they're closing the party down. And we'll talk individually about each of those, but we got to do all 3.
Yes.
Another priority of ours was to get into the Jazzy Holidays, which they were doing at the Hollywood Brown Derby.
Correct.
And this was, you had to do a walk-up list.
Yep.
This was sit-down table service,
yes, it
dining.
Was. Yep.
And so that was a major thing on our checklist, and we got to do that as well. Let's
thanks
walk
to Lucy.
through. Yes, thanks to Lucy. Lucy was virtual queue walk-up queen.
She was.
This weekend. Like, she was outstanding. Let's talk first, because I don't think there's a need to do just like a replay of our night from beginning to end. Let's talk about first.
I would like to start and go a little back to getting ready in the room. And we were headed back from Springs, and we'll talk about more of our the whole weekend and food and everything on our next
Yes, we
episode.
got some good dining. Narcoossee's at the bar, some new items there. We did the holiday menu at Jock Lindsay's Hangar Bar. We'll talk all about that food next episode.
We were headed back, and I was like, why does it look like it's going to rain? And it looked like it was going to rain, and it did while we were getting ready, but then it stopped. So I was like, it was still very humid out, but it was great. So like I said, let's go now fast forward to we get through the turnstiles and we're in line. We get all through that. And then let's go go ahead and where were you going with it?
Yeah, so we go the first show, and they're about
Yes.
on the hour every hour is the What's This
Yes.
holiday sing-along of Nightmare Before Christmas. This is in Hyperion Theater where the Frozen sing-along takes place.
Yes.
And they are transforming this. They're basically, you still have the screen, of course, but then they're covering up both sides where you have the Frozen themed area with big draperies that are Nightmare Before Christmas looking. And this is what you would think. It's a sing-along. Now, it doesn't go through as much, and it isn't as lengthy as the Frozen sing-along. But we had no idea what to expect.
Had no idea.
And there's an old school like black and white TV, and there's two people sitting in chairs that have fallen asleep. And I think it was supposed to all be a dream. Like, I'm not sure if it was supposed to be a dream or what.
Yeah,
exactly,
I'm not sure either.
but
Let's not give too much away for those people that do want to go see it. Because
and if you don't, if you want to skip ahead 30 seconds, do so now.
Yeah,
because there's a major spoiler that you'll probably maybe hear about, but we had no idea.
I had no idea.
The 11-foot tall Jack puppet from the Christmas party was going to walk out on stage.
God, it was amazing. It was amazing.
Now, when you see this at the Christmas party and it's up on the stage in front of Cinderella Castle, it's mind-blowing, right?
Yeah.
When you see it this close, it's even more mind-blowing.
It's amazing.
It's absolutely incredible. And it was so funny because the night before we saw our friend Chris over at Narcoossee's, and he was talking about, he actually had met some folks that had worked on this puppet. And and they were like, it's their favorite thing they've ever worked on. And it just is absolutely incredible when this thing comes out.
It is just so cool. And the whole show, like being a Nightmare Before Christmas fan, and that's why I don't want to like spoil too much. But being a Nightmare Before Christmas fan, this is an absolutely must do.
Yeah.
Like it was fantastic. I loved it.
But even Lucy and Caleb have never seen A Nightmare Before Christmas.
And
they were clapping
Seriously?
and loving it. Like they were enjoying it. So even as folks that haven't seen it and aren't fans, they enjoyed it and loved it. And we got 3 songs, right? Because we got This Is Halloween, we got the Sally song, we got Oogie Boogie's song, and I believe actually maybe there was 4 that it closed with. You also get the full size Oogie Boogie comes out on stage.
Wow, it was super cool.
Which was just amazing.
Yep.
And it just, you get Snope. Like, it was just this feel. And I was questioning because we are the type that feel that Nightmare Before Christmas is a Halloween movie. We don't
100%.
watch it after Halloween.
No, we don't.
This was so fitting.
And it was because I was a little, like, I guess, nervous about that.
I was like, okay, all right, I get it, but why?
And the only reason I wanted to see it was because I love Nightmare Before Christmas.
Heck yeah.
And not for nothing, it is, only November 12th.
Yeah.
And literally, I'm like, all right, well, we just kind of came off Halloween. I'm still okay with this. But this was fantastic and very non-Halloween feeling, obviously.
Yeah. And I would probably look, this is one of those things where we thought, all right, first show is at 8:30, party or the event starts at 8:30, let's get it done.
Yeah.
And I'm really glad that we did.
Yeah.
Because immediately that takes some pressure off.
Yes. We got one picture by the tree, which was great, but that's the one thing I think I'm sad
we
that
missed
we
the photo
really
ops.
missed the photo ops.
There was, like, I mean, and we'll get some of this part out of the way. We missed a ton.
Yeah, we did.
We didn't do any character meet and greets because they were all ridiculously long lines. I saw people waiting 45 minutes to over an hour for like Phineas and Ferb.
But it was neat that we did to see them.
Yes, you got to see them from a distance and walk past. We never walked into Galaxy's Edge. We never walked in through Toy Story area. We pretty much missed the stuff, the party part that was going on in the ABC Commissary Lane and that area.
Yep.
We went over to the Tip Top Club, which was not well laid out at Tower of Terror because, again, lines were super long for the bar. Now, right outside of the gift shop as you exit, you could go ahead and see they had a jazz band set up, and that's where you could hang out. But if you wanted any of the specialty drinks, all the food lines, which food was a priority, but we didn't have a single item. We'll talk about Brown Derby, but outside of Brown Derby for food, because
But Lucy
lines
and
were
Caleb
ridiculously
did.
long. Yeah.
They did the donut, correct?
Yeah, the peanut butter and jelly donut, and they said it was one of the best things they've ever had.
Yes, they
Absolutely loved it over at
Yes.
Fairfax Fair. So, and in the end, we missed a ton, and that stinks.
did. We did.
But for us, it had no negative impact on our evening.
Correct.
We absolutely loved it.
Right.
It's one of those things that makes us want to go back even more.
Correct.
So let's move on to the next show that we saw, which is Disney's Holidays in Hollywood, which is over there where the Beauty and the Beast stage is. And we actually saw the last showing at 11:45.
We did.
There were times in the night where I saw that lines to get into this show were stretching all the way down Sunset Boulevard into Hollywood Boulevard.
Oh, wow.
So we picked really well by doing the very last show.
Yeah.
And it's something I would probably recommend, you
Okay.
know. And we walked up with we got in with 10 minutes to go.
Mhm.
So we walked up with about 15 minutes before the show. We walked up around 11:30
Yeah.
and had zero issue getting in.
Yeah, that was nice.
Now this is going to include, it's kind of hosted, they're doing it as like a star-studded holiday live special.
Okay.
Is the way that they're treating it, as though
Okay.
they were filming a live special. In fact, there's even like commercial breaks, and there's old school, old-timey commercials that play over the loudspeaker.
Yeah.
This is hosted by Kermit and Miss Piggy. You're also going to get Tiana, Belle, Minnie Mouse, and Mickey Mouse. And then it's accompanied by a talented cast of singers, dancers, and jazz musicians. What did you think? What did you think of this show?
Oh, I loved it. I
Yeah.
loved Belle in her dress.
Mhm.
God, she's beautiful.
It's
I
from
know
the
you
it's from the
loved-
Christmas
Yes.
special.
I know
or
you
movie.
loved Tiana
Oh,
when she
you
came
gave her
out.
2 songs.
I was very excited for you.
Yeah, stunning.
Yeah. I don't love the Muppets, so everybody who is like,
Yeah.
oh my God, wants to hate me right now, but I don't. It was cute though. Peggy and Kermit, of course, have always, been iconic. So it was cute, but I would have been fine. I would have been better, with Minnie and Mickey. Like,
Yeah,
maybe
more of.
but
I thought
it's
it
fine.
was-
It was great.
yeah,
it was
like,
great.
I'm so glad we saw it.
Him too.
I wouldn't put it on my list for next year.
I kind of agree
I'd
with
be
you
okay
on
skipping
that.
over it. Whereas
Yes.
I would do the sing along again,
Oh, yeah.
but I would skip this one since we've seen it.
Yeah.
I love that they had Tiana. I love that they gave her a ton of time and did 2 songs. I have no idea why they did though.
Why?
I feel like they could have crammed a lot more into this, and they chose not to.
Oh,
It moved. I mean, to give her 2 full songs
yeah.
as opposed to giving it to someone else, it just was very random. But I really enjoyed it,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like, it felt like something, I feel like our parents would have grown up, and it would have been on the Wonderful World of Disney on a Sunday night, and the family would have gathered around the TV
Yeah.
and watched this, half-hour live special brought to you by Walt Disney.
Right.
Like, so it fit everything perfect. And if you are going to this after hours event,
Mhm.
I would recommend you see it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying skip it, but once you
Unless-
see it, you may want to skip it next year.
Or
Again, unless your priorities
I just started
lie
to
with
say
something else.
Exactly. If
Yeah.
your priorities are more pictures, are more, food or meet and greets, then I definitely would say you wouldn't miss much. Like Lucy and Caleb missed it,
But they
but I
didn't
don't think
miss
they
it.
missed it.
Right. No, that's a good way
So,
to a good way
yeah.
to put it. Let's talk about closing out the night for the first time in 4 years. Jingle Bell, Jingle Bam is back.
Oh my goodness.
I have always loved this so much.
Yes.
We're huge fans of Prep and Landing.
Yes.
Prep and Landing 2.
Yep.
Everything that goes along with it.
Mm-hmm.
We walked out of the show, the holiday show in the Beauty and the Beast Theater, and the skies had decided it has not rained in Florida in so long.
It's not funny, but this
And
is
it
why
decided this was the
Well,
night it was going to do it.
this
And
is-
thank God it didn't happen until 12:15
Yeah,
in the morning.
This is why I wanted to talk about the rain before we
Yeah.
were leaving.
'Cause I thought
that
we were
was
done.
great.
Thought we missed
I
it.
thought we missed it too, and I was like, okay. And yeah, we walk out, and I'm like, okay, it's starting to rain, and at this point, I don't even know if I looked at my watch or if it was dead, but I think I remember being like, all right, who cares? It's the end of the night. I'm not worried
Yeah.
about my hair. I'm
Yeah.
not worried. Well, with that being said, we did not seek shelter. We saw Michelle and Scott again, and we were going to hang with them, but they actually had media stuff. So we just went and stood
in that rain
in the middle.
Consistent. It was not pouring,
it wasn't
but
pouring,
it was
but it was
consistent.
Consistently steady, regular drops, not like heavy, not like, but just where we were drenched.
Yeah.
Like I was.
And at this point, most
like
folks
took a shower.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, and at this point, most folks had either left because they just were done for the evening and they were tired, or they left because of the rain. So
or
getting a spot for Jingle Bell Jingle Bam,
it was simple.
You could pretty much get any spot you wanted. So we kind of stood dead center, got a good spot. But
I did see a lot of ponchos.
Ton of them.
And umbrellas that we just didn't have. And it was just one of those things. I just was like, again.
I mean, we got so wet. So I had bought... I was wearing my suit. One of the suits that I own. And then I had gotten on Amazon. I mean, really, I think it was listed under like a Great Gatsby, kind of like outfit, which was a red vest, red bow tie, red fedora. Not of the highest quality we would find, because everything underneath me, my white dress shirt and my white undershirt, my 32 degrees undershirt that I wore underneath, are stained in red. It like... At the end of the night, if I was just walked around in that shirt on the streets in Orlando, I would be stopped by police and be like, "Excuse me, sir, did you just murder someone?" Because it looks like something out of a Halloween movie.
Yeah, it kind of was bad.
They're probably destroyed. The vest still looks fine.
We can try.
But I think everything underneath is done for. But, I mean, we were drenched. Like, it was a lot. But what I was so surprised by is they put off the entire Jingle Bell Jingle Bam, including fireworks, everything.
Yes.
And it was just as wonderful as I remember.
Yep.
I love it so much. I hate that. Like, it's understandable that you go to Magic Kingdom and the Halloween party and the Very Merry Christmas party, and they put a specialty fireworks behind a paywall, an extra paywall with the ticket. I hate that they're doing this. I wish that they would bring back Jingle Bell Jingle Bam every evening for the holiday season, and then maybe do something specialty for this. But I'm glad that it is back in some form, and that we got to see it. But I wish that they would do it every night, and then it maybe brought something a little different. But I absolutely love it. And with about a minute or two to go, because we know when it's ending, we turned around to head out, made it right to a bus, got right on a bus. It was another one of those weekends where our bus luck, I felt like, was pretty dang good.
Oh, I was very happy at this point.
Yes, because this is now 12:50 in the morning, basically.
Right, and I decided to stand instead of sit because I literally was dripping.
Yeah.
Like, I stood by where the wheelchairs come up in that second door on the bus, and I literally was just dripping, so then it could just kind of roll out. It was just crazy.
And like my fedora, basically water was just pulling inside of like the brim of the fedora because it goes up a little bit. So then like if I like tilted one way, it was just like a waterfall coming down off of it. And now that I've been wearing glasses for a while, like they were just covered, and like it was, but it, and we still got more to talk about, but this is one of those things. And I was going back and forth with Professor Leisure on Twitter, Daniel Miller, our friend, which first of all was super cool because Lacey actually was part of a group that danced at the halftime of the University of Central Florida game.
Yep.
And Daniel was there, and he sent me a picture of them performing and all. And I was like, keep an eye out, listen for the Mustangs. And, and he just took a picture of the whole field and was like, I know she's in there somewhere. Like, they're great and all. So it was really cool. But we're having a conversation about the cost of this because it's very expensive, and the offerings and everything. And
because you don't get anything free like you get
nothing
at
is
the
included.
Parties.
Yeah, nothing is included.
Candy for the Halloween, and then cookies and hot chocolate
and
for
stuff.
the Mickey's Not So
Which
are Very Merry.
Which can be kind of typical of an after hours. So, and it's not like they were anybody was expecting that. You know what I mean? It's not like it was advertised as that, but it is something to know because this is a very expensive ticket. And I had said at one point, because other people were chiming in, we were talking on Twitter, and I said, regardless of however the night goes and how the offerings are, the crowds, the whatever, I already know we're going to have an amazing time.
Yes.
Because you and I are together. We're there with Lucy and Caleb.
Yes.
Some of our great, great, great friends.
Yes.
It's going to be what we make it.
Yeah.
I understand it is very easy to get salty and get upset when you have a line that's an hour long. And I felt so bad for for one of our friends that her and her husband were there with their son.
Yes.
And
this was
they
sad.
waited, I think she said like 45 minutes for Phineas and Ferb. Unfortunately, Disney handlers were bringing in some influencers and cutting lines so that they could get photos.
Mm-hmm.
They were taking, she said, anywhere between 3 to 5 minutes sometimes with the characters. And then when the rain started, they cut and left, and they didn't get to meet them.
Yeah.
That's an
was
issue.
sad. That was sad.
And I 100% understand being
Yeah.
upset about that.
Yeah, 100%.
Where I'm
There's a
coming
kid
from,
involved.
but where I'm coming from with us is that we knew we didn't have time to do everything.
Yeah.
So we're not upset on the things we didn't get to do.
Correct.
Even though I do think that the execution of this was mishandled poorly in general, as far as how many tickets they sold,
Mhm.
how they were doing some things. People put a lot of emphasis on the specialty food and drink because Disney put a lot of emphasis on you know what I mean?
Right.
If people had just showed up and they had been like, oh, by the way, we have some cool treats. No, they're blasting it out on Disney Parks blog. They're making a huge deal of, look at all these incredible food offerings you're going to get. And then almost nobody can get them because the lines are too long.
Right.
So there are some other entertainment offerings, including the Holiday Fiesta in La Calle, which is a Latin holiday music festival, basically, that's happening there on Commissary Lane.
Mm-hmm. That was, I think, right in front of Sci-Fi, correct?
Yeah, right.
'Cause I got to
right
dance
in between,
a little bit.
right in between Sci-Fi and heading back down towards Mickey and Minnie's. It was filling up that area, so we
Yeah.
kind of saw a little bit of it
Yeah.
from a distance, and over there by Baseline Tap House and all.
Yeah.
Of course, the Twilight Soiree at the Tip Top Club, which is
Mhm.
down there in the kind of courtyard garden area by Tower of Terror. They had a lot of like Powerline Max, Phineas and Ferb were the ones that were meeting right there around Echo Lake. So we got to see them, even though we
Yes.
didn't meet them.
Yep.
You had a DJ spinning holiday music right there on Hollywood Boulevard as you walked in, which was
Mhm.
super cool. And then you had the Jazzy Holidays at the Hollywood Brown Derby. Now, we had a little bit of insider information because we asked, but this was not advertised. Another one that I think Disney missed out on is they said for the Jazzy Holidays, the Hollywood Brown Derby, you have to join a walk-up list when the party starts.
Mm-hmm.
Party starts at 8:30. So when that wonderful manager was walking around, before the guy behind her was a complete hole, I said to her, what's up with the Hollywood Brown Derby? We want to join the walk-up list. She said that starts at 8:15. That was never advertised, and I saw a lot of people get on social that did not get in because they went at they tried at 8:30, which is what everyone expected.
Right.
So again, that's a little bit of a misfire on Disney's part, but it's also the reason that we went to the very first night so that we can tell you it starts at 8:15.
Mm-hmm.
And it is going to be through My Disney Experience the same way you would join any walk-up list for a restaurant.
Right.
It's not a virtual queue. It is a walk-up list.
Right.
So when you go in there, it will populate, it will show up, and you can go ahead and join. Lucy snagged it for us.
Mm-hmm. And it was 8:15. Honestly, I would check just to be on the safe
I'd
side
start
at
at 8.
8.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And in case, and they might change
Just
something.
exactly.
Or when you arrive, ask.
Yep.
Go ahead and
Yep.
ask. We didn't have to wait too long. It was one where it was like, hey, your return time will be about 10 minutes. And then we went over there and they were like, yeah, this is going to take a while. And then like 5 minutes later, it was ready because we went over for you to buy your Pandora stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So it worked out great. And one thing we never recommend, like if you're going to the Halloween party, going to Christmas party, is do not waste your time on sit-down dining.
Correct. But
do this.
this was
Do this.
because the food was really good and the music inside was really good. I will say, though, Brown Derby is always, to me, that's why I always want to do the lounge. Inside, I've never been like...
Not that impressive.
It isn't.
No. This was. There was something about this.
Well, yeah, I mean,
It's
I guess
decked out
maybe,
for the holidays.
yeah.
A lot of the folks in there are dressed up.
Yeah.
Right? We sat right at a table next to Craig and Rhino from the
Yeah,
Diz.
that was
So it was
cool.
super cool to see them. Craig is just the nicest guy ever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got to chat with him for a little bit then and a little bit later. But a lot of the people are dressed up. They've got a piano player
That
right
was
there,
cool.
center stage.
That was
it
cool.
elevated.
It did feel-
it's what Brown Derby it's what the Hollywood Brown Turkey should feel like year round.
I kind of agree with that because it did feel like the glitz and glamour of
It felt exclusive.
Yeah.
I felt like we were like royalty or something.
Yeah.
Just being in there, it was amazing. And Patrick, our server, was outstanding.
Yeah, he was.
Would you like to talk about some of the food? Because I think in the end,
I think we had everything.
We had everything but the tofu bao bun.
Correct.
So let's go through. Let's start first with the oyster Rockefeller.
Oh my goodness.
Because between us ordering and Lucy and Caleb ordering, we
Yes.
were able to get a sampling basically of everything. So
Yes.
talk oyster Rockefeller, which I don't think you can call this oyster Rockefeller.
Yeah, this was super weird because it says oyster Rockefeller and it says spinach foam, shaved Parmesan, ricotta pepper relish, and a salmon caviar. This was basically just a fried oyster.
Yeah, it wasn't in the shell.
Right, it wasn't in the shell. It was fried with the stuff around it.
Yeah, breaded and fried.
And then
spinach foam on top and all.
And it was fantastic.
Holy smokes. This was like
it was great. It was weird
a
because
perfect bite.
yeah.
And this is one of those where I would say, like, if you've never had oysters, and I get it, you look at them, they're boogers of the sea,
Right.
They look
Right.
disgusting. They can feel disgusting in your mouth. They taste like salt water, but they can be very good. This is the way to go if you're going to try oysters for the first time.
I would agree.
Holy moly,
Because
this was so
True
good.
oyster Rockefeller, you don't see the oyster,
Right.
but
It's smothered usually
it's
in
smothered,
the
and when you eat it, you still taste, and it's still
briny.
squishier.
Yeah.
Which
Squishy.
I mean, it's the right word. But this one was not.
No.
Like it was just a good.
It was firm. The
Great
oyster,
bite.
because it was cooked and all,
Yep.
was firm. The breading was perfect. The foam from the
Yep.
spinach, this was delicious.
Yes, it was.
I absolutely loved this.
Yes, it
It
was.
was like this. This is one. If this was something they were like, man, this turned out to be like a hit. Let's put it on the lounge menu.
Oh, I'd go get
We'd
it.
get it every single time we went to
Absolutely.
Hollywood Studios. I would go sit just for this.
Yes.
Let's move on to the crispy duck drumettes. This was a spicy orange glaze, carrots, and kumquats. Lucy and Caleb got this. And
Yes.
they let us have a piece of duck.
Oh, that was fantastic.
It was really good. My only fault with this, I thought it was too citrusy. It had like a citrus sauce
liked
to
it.
it, and it was a little too acidic, but the duck and all was cooked to
Yeah.
perfection.
I liked it.
I'm trying to think of the word I want to use. It's because it's not, the only word I can think of is greasy, but it's not greasy. Do you know what I mean? Duck, just the way that
But
duck
it is a good.
right.
but
It's a good grease. It's
yeah.
like it's so flavorful
It's so
and
good.
delicious. And these were super good. Like going through, because this is one of the last bites of something that I had, I would prefer to have this prior and finish with bites of some other things that we had.
Okay.
Because this was the lasting
fair.
impression in my palate as we were leaving, where that's where I thought it was a little too acidic, but it was still absolutely delicious, right?
That's fair.
What's the next thing we had?
So we
And
got
this was
the
super nice. Patrick,
yeah,
brought
we got the
this to us.
charcuterie. We weren't planning on it, but he brought it and said somebody didn't want it. So he just brought it to our table. And this is house-made crushed, cured meats and accompaniments like blue cheese and mousse, toasted sourdough. I think there was some honey on there.
It was,
Fig something.
fig. There was like a fig tapenade on
Mhm.
there.
It was really
fine.
good.
This was the worst thing out of everything, but it was still good.
It's charcuterie.
Yeah.
So
it had duck pastrami
yeah,
with it.
you like that?
Yeah, that was pretty good.
It was charcuterie.
Their regular charcuterie though is, I think, the best on property.
Okay.
And so knowing the other items, we had already eaten all the other items when he brought this out. And then knowing what their regular charcuterie is like, this just didn't live up to it, even though it was still
Okay.
good.
That makes sense. But again, it's charcuterie. So to me, it's not anything, I guess, above and beyond pretty much. But but it was
Pretty
good.
standard.
Yeah.
Then they had Lucy and Caleb had the shrimp cocktail, which is a
Mhm.
classic cocktail sauce, citrus pearls, and an avocado mousse.
Mhm. They said it was great.
Yeah, and these
shrimp
it was
were
only
huge.
3 shrimp, but they are huge.
Yep.
They're the size of the ones over at Space 220. And where else did we have? Where else did we have the shrimp on Disney property that I compared to Space 220? Remember that were huge? I can't remember right now. It'll probably come to me after we're done recording, but
Okay.
they loved
I
this,
can't
and the
remember.
shrimp looked perfectly cooked, and they were absolutely giant. Let's move on next to do I want to talk about this now, or do I want to save it for last? Like, do you want to leave the room for me to be alone with this item? Because I can talk about this for about the next half hour.
Oh my Lord. Here we go. It's the best thing ever.
This is the Derby slider. It is bison and pork belly blend, taleggio cheese sauce, and a fig stout jam.
There's 2 of them.
There's 2 of them. They're good slider size.
Yep.
It's a nice thick patty, slider patty with the jam and the cheese and everything. A super soft, delicious, like almost brioche style bun. This was the best thing I had all night. And if this was in full burger form and was available all of the time, people can hear the sound of your eyes rolling into the back of your head.
Well, good.
This is the best burger on property.
Oh, there it is, folks.
This is the best burger on property.
Okay.
And I was talking to Patrick about it, our cast member, and they got to try everything beforehand, like, which is super cool. And he was just saying how unbelievably good it is. And I was like, have you been to Geyser Point? They got a bison burger. Because he was like, I'm so surprised with bison. Bison's so good because it tastes like beef, but without the grease and the fattiness.
Oh, yeah.
Like, but it has the flavor of beef without the actual like, you know how like regular ground beef and all can kind of almost weigh on your stomach a little bit? This doesn't. It's super like clean.
Yeah.
Bison is. And the blend with the pork belly, this thing was just, I mean, I ate it as slow as I could because after the first bite, I was so sad knowing that eventually it was going to be gone.
Oh my goodness. You should have just ordered more.
I might 159 for the night. I might go back just to go here.
Okay.
I'll get 4 or 5 of these and I will sit at Brown Derby for all 4 hours. And I will order one of these every half hour. Or I will make an entire burger. I know you're not in the same love relationship
they were good.
that I am.
I really liked them, but there was other things to me I thought was a little bit better.
Well, let's move on to the tuna carpaccio.
Yeah,
which
got
is
that.
mezcal, pickled vegetables, salsa matcha, and avocado crema. It is the most unappetizing tuna dish I've ever laid my eyes upon.
But it was fantastic.
So good.
So good.
You know what I think
Fresh,
the problem was?
Clean.
Is the vessel that it was served in is a black shallow bowl, as opposed to, I think if this had been served in like a cream colored bowl or a white bowl, I think the contrast in colors would have set it off more. So when you see the tuna, because it's sliced so thin it only has one side, right?
Yeah.
You read a newspaper through it. It made the tuna look almost black. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like it didn't. When they set it down, all 4 of us looked at it and were like, "That doesn't look appetizing at all." In fact, I almost wasn't going to even try it until you took a bite and you were like, "No, this is legit. You guys need to eat this."
Yeah.
And it was outstanding.
Yes, it was.
I loved it.
Yes.
Man, if they just turned this menu into the new lounge menu.
That would be amazing.
Holy smokes. Because then there were the pork belly bows, which is Korean barbecue, pork belly, of course, a cucumber slaw, and a soy vinaigrette.
This is what I really, really liked. I thought it was
super
fantastic.
Yeah.
The bao bun was just perfect. The whole thing was really great to me.
Yeah.
So,
I loved it too. I preferred the slider over it. But this was the second best thing I had. And everything here was just...
It was. We thought
good.
everything was great. So.
And it was so nice because it was one of those where they came out as they were ready.
Yeah.
So they didn't just come and drop 7 appetizers on your table.
Right.
You kind of got to enjoy them as you sat for the night.
But this was all that they were also serving.
Yes, this is all they were serving.
So
we ate the entire menu. Yeah. And then they had some specialty cocktails and all. But this was well worth the time. You know, and I really, really wanted to meet Phineas and Ferb. We haven't met them in like a decade.
Yeah.
You know, they haven't been at studios in so long, and I really, really wanted to meet them. But if somebody said you can spend an hour enjoying the Hollywood Brown Derby, or you can spend an hour wait for Phineas and Ferb, I mean, Hollywood Brown Derby every single time.
Yeah.
Even if they were like, there's no food available, you can just sit there, have a cocktail, and watch a guy play piano. I'd be like, yeah, the setting, the atmosphere, everything about it. Like this was my favorite. This was almost my favorite part of the whole night.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Yeah, it was fun. We enjoyed it. It was nice to sit down too and just kind of chill because I also had heels on.
Mhm.
So
Well, we were out late the night before.
yeah, we were.
I stupidly was up very early that morning and decided to get out of bed and go hang out in the lobby for a little while, which I sincerely regretted. But I got my second win once we got to this after hours event.
Yeah.
I think. Do you think this is worth it? Now we have people listening that have already bought their tickets, so hopefully they can learn from some of the things we did. They can prioritize. They can make a plan.
I mean,
But for people that have not yet bought tickets, they're on the fence saying, I've got a trip coming up. It's there one of the nights that I'm there. I don't know yet if I want to get tickets or not. Is it worth it?
What? The whole thing?
Yeah. Is it worth spending $160 to $180 a person to go to this?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And especially because of all the stuff we missed.
What if you have kids?
No. I don't think I would.
That was a lot of confusion too. And Disney never said this was an adult.
Correct. But there was
After
a
hours.
lot of
But their marketing made it seem that way.
Yes.
And so I think there's a lot of
Controversial.
people. Yeah, I think there's a lot of people that were unaware that it was going to feel very much adult
Well, it
only,
did.
and then they brought kids and were a little disappointed, or they thought it was adults only, but you could bring kids.
You
Like,
can.
yeah.
I mean, and all the rides were still open.
Yeah, all the rides are
right?
open, by the way, and the wait times were not bad at all from what we
Okay.
were seeing. Like, Kaylin would have loved this, I think.
She's not a child.
I know, but still,
When you say child, I'm thinking
under 10 years old. Would you
Yeah.
bring an under 10-year-old
No.
to this? No.
no.
Yeah, I can see that.
Just because there's not a ton of things for them to want to
Right.
do.
You're basically going
unless
to
you're gonna ride.
Yeah, you're going to ride and you're going to see characters.
And
that's
see
a lot and that is a lot of
characters.
money to spend on that.
That is.
It's a whole lot of money.
But I mean, you still get Hollywood Sunset Boulevard
Mhm.
where the Olaf and
Yeah,
they were
Sunset
still,
Seasons Greetings
that's
was
what
still
I was
playing
trying
all
to
night
say.
long,
Yep.
which was great.
Snoping all
Yep.
on that place too.
Yep.
And it was just, and that I just love that. I love the holidays there.
Yeah.
I love all the decorations everywhere. So, I mean, again, that's a lot of money. And if you're the parent that's like, oh, well, I want to go do this, I want to go do that, I would go ahead and try to get a babysitter and leave
Yeah.
the kids at home.
Yeah.
So
And
make it a date night.
and another thing that we never prioritize with these is rides.
Correct.
Now part of that's because we go often enough that
Right.
we don't worry if we miss a ride. We'll just do it the next time or whatever.
Correct.
But if rides are your focus, you can spend a lot less money learning and utilizing Genie Plus and individual lightning lanes than paying $160 to $180 a person
100%.
to ride rides.
Yeah.
Right. So I wouldn't put a focus on that
Correct.
for this price point. I can't imagine they're not going to do this next year. I so hope they do.
I hope so too.
I think we'll go back in a heartbeat. And, and it might be one where next year we decide, all right, well, we're not going to do the holiday show. We're going to go ahead and watch The Nightmare Before Christmas one first thing. If the menu's the exact same for Hollywood Brown Derby, maybe we would decide, all right, let's skip that and let's try and do some character meet and greets, or let's try and check out some of the other entertainment or whatever. But it was just one of those that, to me, the feel of it was just really cool.
Yeah. And next year I want to go more towards the middle because this was the first one.
Yes.
Because I went and got a specialty cocktail from the bar that's right there by Indiana Jones.
Yeah, Oasis Canteen.
And it was the sugar cookie martini, and other people's pictures and stuff was very pretty and it was really cool. He basically just poured the drink, dropped the biscotti thing in it,
Yeah.
and handed it to me.
Yeah.
No sprinkles. And it was more towards the end of the night.
It was like 11:30.
It was 11:30, but still, so I don't know if, unfortunately, he had just been frustrated with the night.
I bet this is one of those at the end of the night. I bet every single one of those cast members could have used a hug. Every single
Yeah.
one working on an
Yeah.
opening first night like this, where not only do you have to entertain the standard guests like us who have spent a lot of money, and again, you can understand frustrations. They're also having to entertain media and influencers and all of that stuff. I bet it was a rough night for cast members.
Yeah, because
So-
I was sad about that, but then I'm like, I guess I'm not gonna say anything.
Right.
So yeah, it was just. And then, did you get any other specialties around?
No, because any chance you were getting at specialty food or drink, the lines were just insane.
Yeah. And
They were nuts.
that's the sad part too, where I want to go more towards the middle, maybe next time.
Yeah, we'd go in December next year.
Focus.
That's what we would do.
And focus a little bit more on other things.
Yeah.
Because I didn't get any sweet treats.
Right, I know.
Which I love my sweet treats.
Yeah. But I mean, again, with all that being said, we missed out on a lot.
We did.
And we still had an outstanding time.
We did.
We still absolutely loved it. And,
We did.
And I don't regret spending the money
Correct.
whatsoever.
And I just started to say, I do look forward to next year because I had such a great time. And I mean, that's just like the first time we did the Christmas party or the Halloween party.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, we didn't get this. We didn't
Right.
get to that. And I mean, it finally took, how many years have we been going to the Halloween party that we finally
felt like we finally had a perfect one.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
And we got to do everything we
Yep.
wanted. And
Yeah.
so I was a little nervous about tonight or about that night because of getting to try to do everything. And I'm glad now that we're talking about it, I feel disappointed, but I'm glad I didn't at the time. And I feel disappointed for y'all that are listening.
Yeah.
I feel disappointed that we didn't try to do more to talk about it and, give y'all experience that we did. But
it's also not like we just sat around and twiddled our thumbs.
Correct.
We were doing everything we could. This is what we were able to do.
Correct.
4 hours just isn't enough time.
Correct.
But like we just said, neither are the parties. Over at Magic Kingdom, it's never enough time. I mean, that's the same thing with somebody going, well, I'm going to Disney during Food and Wine, and I've got 2 days allocated to Epcot to try all the food and wine stuff. Is that enough? No.
Yeah.
We've been a dozen or more times during Food and Wine, and we're still. I can go back right now and be like, dang, we didn't do these bunch of things. Like we still didn't. We didn't get some of our fan favorites that are there year after year. We did all the new stuff, but there's just never enough time.
Yeah.
But if you can go in knowing that, any disappointment that comes out of it that's on you.
Yeah.
At that point, you cannot go into Jollywood Nights thinking you're going to do it all.
Correct.
Plain and
Please
simple.
don't. So So my biggest opinion would be is to make sure do your research. I looked at Jeremy at one point because Caleb and I are just along for the ride, and I looked at him and I said, "Are you and Lucy doing your research?" Because I didn't want to go in blind the cruise,
Right.
and I wanted to have all right, what is our goal? And that's one thing Lucy said to me this morning, that they don't love having to try to run around
Right.
and do all that. So they still had a great time, but I think they would like to next time I think they would do it again.
Yeah.
And then they would just like to leisurely and
Right.
kind of just
Right.
do whatever instead of, I think, what we try to do.
Right. Which is, trying to get everything kind of done.
And then, there was some people there we wanted to see.
Mhm.
And so, it was just,
Yeah. I had such a great time. I enjoyed getting dressed up.
Yes.
That's just fun. We don't do it a lot, and I absolutely hate wearing a suit, but I love doing it for things like these. So we enjoyed ourselves.
Yep.
And you can take this as a listener, and if you've already got your tickets, because we've got a bunch of friends that are going at the end of the month here.
Yes.
I think it's the November 29th one or somewhere around there. Hopefully they can learn from this and prioritize and figure out what they want to do. And then, if you were on the fence about buying tickets for this, and this episode made you decide not to, then I hope we saved you a lot of money.
Yes.
And if it makes you decide to buy tickets, then I hope we helped you in that manner. Because that's what we're here for. And like I said last episode, I think it was, that's why we wanted to go. We didn't want to go to be first. We wanted to go to bring this information to y'all as soon as we could.
Correct.
So, that's why we're sitting here on a Sunday after just getting home recording. So we can get this out Tuesday.
Yep.
Before the next after hours happens for Jollywood Nights, people can listen to this. And I know we got a lot of folks that are even going next Saturday that are interested to hear about it. And considering we had such an amazing time and did the things we really did want to do and had no information prior and we had a plan, but not a true plan.
Right.
Now everybody else, you can make a plan.
Yep.
And you can get done what you want to get done and have fun. if you are going and you were not going to dress up, think about it. It's a lot of fun.
It is.
It really is.
A lot of people do.
Yeah,
so.
and there's a lot of, it's one of those things. It's like you see when people who drive Jeeps. Every time somebody driving a Jeep sees another person in a Jeep, they're just like, "What's up, fam?" Like, and that's how it felt. Like every time we saw somebody else dressed
like,
up,
you look nice,
we would both like comment to each other like, "Hey, how you doing?" Like, and it was just, that part was super duper cool. So, thank you guys so much for listening. If you go to one of these other after hours events, we would absolutely love to hear what your experience is like, what you got to do that maybe we didn't. And then we can put that on our plan for next year.
Yep.
You can go out on social media at MainSTMagic. You can always send us email, magic@mainstmagic.com, to either share your information or say whatever you want to there. If you hit subscribe, you get brand new episodes every Tuesday and Friday. Friday's episode, we will cover the food we had at Narcoossee's, the holiday menu at Jock Lindsay's Hangar Bar. We tried a whole bunch of that stuff, which is going to be around for the rest of the season through December. So we can talk about that and a few other things. And you could also go ahead while you're out there. You can leave us a rating and review
because it'll help our show grow.
That's all we've got. We'll see you real soon.
Jeremy and Rhonda are more than a little fond of Disney World, so they made this podcast to share it all with you. Reports and resorts, top 10 lists of all sorts. Main Street Magic's bringing it home for you.